Good evening, everyone. Let's wait for a few more minutes before we start off the session. We have interesting content up ahead. I see a lot of people joining in. All right. So, good evening and a very warm welcome to all of you. We are very delighted to have you join us today for the World Teachers' Day edition of CENTA's webinar series for teachers. I hope everyone is feeling a little energized and ready to engage in today's exciting session. So, our topic for this special occasion is the theme of this year's World Teachers' Day, which is valuing teachers' voice towards a new social contract for education. We are honored to have Swarnama Gupta, Head of Academic Excellence, Oxford University Press, as the facilitator for today's session. Now, before we begin, we would like to invite CENTA's founder and CEO, Ramya Venkatraman, for a special message on this occasion of World Teachers' Day.
Hello.
Yes, Ramya, you are audible.
Yes, if you can, yes, I hope you can hear me. Wonderful to be with all of you today on this occasion of World Teachers' Day. So, first of all, very happy World Teachers' Day to all the teachers out there. I can see a large number of teachers from various parts of India as well as various parts of the world, and it's great to have you all here today for this special edition. As we get started, and I'll just keep my comments very brief so that we can move to the facilitator very quickly. As we get started, there are three thoughts I would love to leave you all with. As Rachel mentioned, one of a key theme for this year's World Teachers' Day relates to the teacher's voice. Now, we at CENTA have always focused on saying how can we give more power to the teacher's voice, more power to this community, and how can we figure out various avenues for teachers to experience professional growth of different kinds, whether that is growth in one's career, growth in one's income, whether that is growth in terms of your voice and your opinions being heard. Those are some of our goals as CENTA. So, very aligned with the theme for this year's World Teachers' Day. As you know, our motto as an organization is making teaching aspirational. So, very aligned with the theme for this year's World Teachers' Day, as I said. And in that context, the main thought that I want to leave with all of you is to invite you to participate actively in the opportunities that come up. So, whether it is a Centox session like this, where you can interact with teachers from across the globe, whether it is the CENTA app, where there is a lot of interesting conversation happening on the community, and one can also create specific groups for various themes, various geographies, etc. I would invite all of you as teachers to participate actively in these conversations that are going on. Teaching, as you know better than any of us, can often be a lonely profession. It is a profession where you are dealing with a lot of challenges on a day to day basis, alone in the classroom. And yes, you may have your fellow teachers in the school or in that system, but ultimately you're dealing with a challenge alone in the classroom. We are hoping that through a forum like this, you feel much more supported. And naturally, the power of this forum lies in everyone's participation. So, as I said, that's the simple message, the one simple message I wanted to leave with you today, which is to participate actively in these forums. The other quick thought, which we always talk about as Centa, is that ultimately career growth as well as participation in the community depend a lot on your own competencies as a teacher. So that's my second push to you, which is while you might be extremely busy with your service to students, with all the things that you're occupied with in the school, please do take those few minutes every day to invest in yourself as a professional and to keep building a set of competencies. And to make this investment really simple and doable, we have kept very small micro resources on the Centa app, and most of them are available free of cost. So, would encourage all of you to spend those few minutes every day as a habit, investing in yourselves as professionals, and which is what will make your contributions to the community and your voice much more powerful. So, with that, thank you very much for joining us today. Happy World Teachers Day again. I think this group today is truly representing the world of teachers. I can see people from India, from Bhutan, from Nigeria, from Pakistan, from Ghana, I'm not reading the entire chat, but from Sri Lanka. I can see people from a lot of different countries across the world, and very glad to have you with us today. And lastly, before I sign off, I'll just mention that many of you may also be aware that we had the Global Teachers Meet about 15 days back. Some of you might have attended it live. Those who did not get a chance to attend it, there are segments of it which are getting published regularly by Centa. Please do take the time to watch some of those discussions, which were extremely interesting. There were teachers from 176 countries registered in the Global Teachers Meet, and pretty much, I mean, it was as big a global gathering as one could imagine. So please take the time to see some of those discussions too, if you haven't already. And with that, let me hand over back to my colleague Rachel and to our facilitator for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ramya, for your words. And I'm sure the Centa community appreciates the resources we have created and curated, especially for them. Now, let's come back to our session, and I'd like to welcome Swarnima Gupta, our facilitator for today's session. Swarnima Gupta is a highly experienced education professional with nearly 2 decades of expertise dedicated to improving educational outcomes and fostering social impact through innovative programs and visionary leadership. Her efforts have transformed the lives of over 10,000 teachers in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities by facilitating their transition from physical to online learning, ensuring ongoing professional development and support. Welcome again to our esteemed facilitator, and over to you, Swarnama Gupta.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Good evening to all the teachers. Hello to all the teachers joining from across the world. Uh, it's a very warm welcome that everyone has given to all of us and given your time, valuable time to be a part of this session. Really appreciate the efforts that as teacher community we all invest in our professional development and learning, and seeing so many teachers joining from across the world uh, makes my confidence even more that teachers are constant continuous learners. They invest the most in their own learning. uh, Before we start and jump into the topic which is given by UNESCO to us, Rachel, I'll request you to please have the first slide for all of us. Thank you so much. Yeah. World's Teachers Day, 5th of October, and a very important topic that UNESCO has given, valuing teachers' voice. It just reiterates the importance of having teachers' voice. Before we know what all things are involved into teachers' voice and why is it important, why now we are talking about empowering teachers and hearing teachers' voices, let's have a self-reflection, a bit of step back and see what kind of a day looked like in the life of teachers in most of the cases. Uh, Working across India and in some of the other countries, I've seen that teachers' lives are full of facing excessive workloads, at times lack of appreciation, sometimes inadequate pay, and an increasing number of teachers are sometimes leaving the profession they really cherish because uh, it doesn't match up to the situation. Society needs this profession desperately. Currently, very fewer younger individuals are choosing teaching as a career. If you look at the teaching or the professional choices that youngsters make these days, teaching doesn't happen to be a first choice for them. Very few of them actually take that as a choice. This is not just a threat, it is also leading to a global deficit of 44 million teachers, endangering the right to education and sparkling a worldwide call to bolster teaching profession. How important the teaching profession is. It is not just a profession, it directly relates to the right to education of children. If people do not take teaching as a profession, we are actually threatening the right to education of so many children across the world. This World's Teachers Day emphasizes this necessity of fostering a very strong social dialogue with teachers globally. The 2024 celebrations will center around the valuing teachers' voices towards the need of social contract in education. This theme to me it personally highlights a very critical need to engage the teachers to tackle the issues they encounter and more importantly to recognize the valuable expertise and insights they contribute to education. We cannot have social changes, we cannot have educational changes and reforms if we do not hear teachers' voices. Rachel, can we move to the next slide? This World's Teachers Day, just to give you a glimpse of what is the significance of the World's Teachers Day. It is celebrated annually on 5th of October. I'm sure a lot of teachers would know that 5th of October is World's Teachers Day. It honors the teachers worldwide. I'm aware of different countries following a different date of Teachers' Day. In India, 5th September is India's Teachers' Day. Similarly, in other countries also there might be other teacher days, but this particular date is a global celebration of teachers. It marks the anniversary of 1966 International Labour Organization and UNESCO's recommendation on the status of teachers, which outlines the rights and responsibilities of teachers, as well as standards for their teaching, recruitment, employment, and working conditions. Again, in 1997, the recommendation of the status of higher education teaching personnel was adopted to extend these standards to higher education. Since 1994, World Teachers' Day has been observed to recognize the transformative role of us teachers in education and to consider the support we all need to fully realize our potential and dedication. This day, as I mentioned, is in collaboration with International Labour Organization, UNICEF and Education International. Nothing can more emphasize on the importance that teachers are fundamental in shaping the future by nurturing students and driving educational progress. All of your influence extends beyond the classroom. It impacts the society at large. However, to fully harness each teacher's potential, it is crucial that their voices are heard and valued in the decision making process to affect not just the profession but also the society at large. All the teachers bring a wealth of experience and insights that can actually enhance the educational policies and practices globally. Yet, if we look at the practical reality, a lot of times teachers face systemic challenges such as inadequate resources, lack of professional development opportunities, at times insufficient recognition to the contributions that teachers are making. Addressing these issues requires a concerted effort to include teachers in dialogues about their roles and the future of education. This year's World Teachers' Day emphasizes to need the tackle of the systemic challenges and to foster a more inclusive dialogue about the role of teachers in education. This theme is very, very important, valuing teachers' voices towards a new social contract for education. It just underscores the urgency of listening to and addressing teachers' voices. Sometimes it just sounds like a basic right that listening to teachers' voices is a basic necessity of bringing any change in education. By doing so, we can better understand the obstacles teachers face and work towards solutions which supports the professional growth and well-being of teachers. When teachers are professionally growing, they are taken care, well-being is taken care of, it impacts on students' learning. More importantly, and benefiting from the expert knowledge the teachers bring into education can lead to a more effective and sustainable educational reforms. The focus on teachers' voice is not just addressing their challenges, but also about recognizing the critical role that teachers play in shaping the future of education. Teachers are on the front lines of educational innovation and reforms, and insights coming from the teachers is invaluable in creating policies that are responsive to the needs of students and the communities. Now, by establishing this new social contract, what we are talking about, it actually prioritizes that we can create more equitable and effective educational system that will benefit everyone. That's why including teacher as a part of dialogue is important before we come to any reform in education. Uh, just what all things that we have discussed about. There is a small video. Rachel, if you can help me with that video, a lot of teachers would associate with that.
I think the captain is the most important.
I think Dr. Amit Sharma.
Maybe the judge?
He stays at the border all the time so that we can spend time with our family. He makes sure our safety is his first priority.
She's upholding the Constitution of India. It's a very, very big thing. इतने crimes हो रहे हैं. Such a difficult job, ना? Justice देना.
जैसे कोविड सिचुएशन में सब लोग डरे हुए थे. Everyone was locked up in the house. But doctors and the entire medical fraternity was right there. They were trying to save us.
I think Smita ji.
Maybe her?
She's the one.
बाकी सबका तो मतलब मुझे पता है ना कि ये डॉक्टर हैं, जज हैं, बट ये मैम क्या करती हैं आई डोंट नो.
क्योंकि उनके के नाम के आगे कोई टाइटल नहीं है एंड ऑनेस्टली आई डोंट रियली नो व्हाट हु शी इज एंड व्हाट शी डज.
मेरा नाम स्मिता पटेल है. मैं एक स्कूल टीचर हूँ और ये तीनों मेरे स्टूडेंट्स हैं.
आई एम सो सॉरी मैम.
नहीं आई मीन मुझे लगता है कि ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है एक्चुअली.
टीचर्स नहीं होंगी तो फिर कोई कुछ बन ही नहीं सकता. इट इज़ अ वेरी सेल्फलेस जॉब.
It's a noble profession, or they are creating geniuses.
But she's kind of shaping the future for the country. Yes, मुझे लगता है कि हर एक टीचर को उनका टाइटल मिलना चाहिए. इट्स रियली इम्पोर्टेंट.
Thanks. So, I guess a lot. I was reading the comments, and a lot of people said that it's quite emotional. It just reinstates the importance of teaching as a professional. Nowadays, a lot of teachers have adopted TR as a prefix to their names, like doctors, captain, and judge. It just creates a kind of importance and a lot of time when in the teaching profession when we go back and meet our students who have passed out of schools and they've become something in the profession today, they come back and they say a thank you. I think that's a very proud moment for any teacher. It's a selfless job, and the biggest motivation, the biggest title or award that a teacher gets is when one of the successful students come back to the teacher and just appreciates that, ma'am, whatever I am today is because of your teachings, at times because of your scoldings, at times because you made me punish and realize my mistake that day. So all these small things makes up all the successful people that are given the so-called societal importance of the professions. But making all those important professions the way they are lies in a very simple profession, but a very important profession of a teacher. Uh, can we move to the next slide? I have a poll for all the teachers. Um, has it happened that you had something to convey to one of your stakeholders, maybe the peers, the school leaders, management, or parents, and you felt that you were heard or you were not heard? If you think that your ideas were recognized, uh, Rachel, are we planning to have a poll or should we ask the teachers to reply in the comments?
Yes, we could ask the audience to respond in the comments.
Sure.
Yes.
Thanks. So, teachers, if you all felt that your ideas and thoughts were recognized by your peers, by the school leaders, management, parents, and you were felt heard, please type a yes. If you felt that you were ignored, it can be any reason. And this forum that we are talking today is a very open, transparent, safe space for all of us to talk. If you felt that you were ignored for any reason, please type a no. Thank you so much, teachers, for taking the courage, showing the courage to write no as a response. It's very important to have a right response, how you have felt. Few times, quite practical. Sometimes you felt that you were heard, sometimes you were felt you were not heard. Sometimes somebody is saying that ideas are imposed, not always. There are a lot of people to show courage that no, they felt they were not heard, they were ignored. People are sharing the views that yes, sometimes they were heard, not exactly, mostly heard at times, sometimes yes, sometimes no, sometimes unvalued, sometimes the voice is noticed. All right, let's here come to the next voice. Uh, what is teacher's voice and how should we make our voice heard? If the responses were not always heard, sometimes not heard, ignored, not at all heard, what can be the steps that we take to make sure that our voices get due attention? We are heard. And next time when we meet to have a discussion around any such topic, our response should move from sometimes to most of the times, from no to sometimes yes. A small step in the positive direction is a great step. So, what exactly is teacher's voice? Can we move to the next slide? Now, to understand what exactly is a teacher's voice, let us do a little bit of reverse engineering and see what teacher's voice is not. A teacher's voice is not about stating an opinion or an idea with the desire to get away with most of the decisions. So, it's definitely not prompting or throwing one's ideas or opinions. That would be very one sided. And if you don't want the management or the supervisors to make decisions without input, then teachers shouldn't have either the final word. This is what is supposed to be a collaborative leadership, where all the voices are shared and we accept the responsibility of the solution. Any decision coming from one person or one sided decision is not hearing teacher's voice. Teacher's voice is also not about monopolizing the dialogues in the classroom. It wouldn't be actually a dialogue at all if it's a monologue then. And if you look at a lot of times, if you reflect back on our classroom scenarios, a lot of time as teachers, we might feel that there is a monologue happening in the classroom because as teachers, we don't get that much of flexibility, freedom to have a dialogue, to have a conversation, to have a collaborative approach in the classrooms. Now, teacher's voice is about giving someone the opportunity to shine. You might have watched reality shows. I'm sure that everybody watches or have some time in their life watched some reality shows where we see some of the people who have never performed in front of an audience. They would come as a very newcomer saying that this is my first audition, I'm coming first time on stage. I've just learned on my own watching YouTube videos and something of that sort. And but when they are given this opportunity, they raise their own bar and they find something within them that they hope existed. And sometimes they had never any clue that how good they are really going to shine until somebody from outside has told them so. Similarly, this is the issues with our schools. We have teachers who have incredible gifts. I have been part of so many schools where I've seen teachers to be so high in their creativity and so many other skills that they have. But all these days dormant because we just want to stick to the process. Or sometimes culture does not favor to have compliance more than the creativity. It's the work not always that they want to hear from them. We want to give that chance to the leader that there are teachers who are highly uh, collaborative, creative. Give them a chance, listen to them, and see that how the school progresses. It happens in some of the schools also where there is a teachers committee. The teachers collaborate in the decision making of school empowerment. Now, the impact of teacher's voice, I've broken it down at three steps. One is the impact of teacher's voice in the classroom. So, when the teachers are discussing about learning, I think in most of the scenarios, in most of the countries, the focus that we have is intentionally on what is taught, including the official curriculum that the school follows, the behaviors, the routines, which ensures that classroom should run smoothly. It's like a core, fundamental day life of every teacher. Now, this perspective, if we just do a dipstick of it, it equates learning with a major form of academic achievement. Consequently, viewing learning solely in terms of curriculum or academics turns classroom interactions and behaviors into teachers that teachers should manage. With many students in one class, that's the scenario. Sometimes it is quite many number of students is and very less number of teachers, the student to teacher ratio is very imbalanced. Learning is seen as requiring either concentration to avoid any distractions or collaboration to benefit from peer presence. In the confined space of a classroom, no other viewpoint on social interaction seems practical. However, outside of the school, learning frequently occurs incidentally. Now, let us see some of the examples of how this incidental learning would look like. For example, if I have to talk about the qualities of my friend, it is an incidental learning of the adjectives that I use to describe my friend. There are no efforts taken to describe my friend, to describe a place, and it's non-conscious. It's a not deliberate effort. It's just coming natural to me. Unlike a classroom, where it is always necessary to consider whether the classmates are aiding or hindering the individual student learning. So inside the classroom, the way our classrooms have been designed and the school education is perceived is that teacher is the whole sole person to have knowledge transfer, and we do not take incidental learning as a kind of learning. It always has to be from the teacher. We need to make ourselves heard in the classroom to change this notion of learning. Another consequence of focusing the concept of learning on classrooms is that it raises the issues of usefulness or transfer, which is ability to apply knowledge or skills in situations beyond those in which they were acquired. Now, inside the classroom scenario, there is very limited involvement of students with the teachers. It's mostly the transfer of knowledge that is taking place, some activities, some applications, some group discussions. However, the actual application of those concepts will happen in an environment which will be very isolated to the environment where the learning was happening. Learning to read and solve arithmetic problems, for example, are key goals of the elementary school education because these skills are intended to be used both inside and outside of the classroom. Teachers globally aim to read and have the arithmetic skills transferred and make learning process an enjoyable process. In the world of teaching, more than in any other field, making learning enjoyable is really important, but making it useful is even better. Now, the challenge that lies with the teachers, and I would here give you a 30 seconds pause to think through it. The challenge lies, and also the adventure of teaching profession, that you combine the enjoyment and usefulness of teaching. I'll repeat, you combine the enjoyment and usefulness of the teaching. You change yourself in a gold standard of teaching. It is what we generally strive for with students, even though we may not always achieve it. But sometimes you will have, when you go back home after your teaching, you would find that maybe sometimes you would have done those teaching days where students were enjoying and the knowledge was applied by the students. Can you move to the next slide? Okay, let's do an activity here. Uh, Now, I want you all to think, and again, we will use chat. I think chat interaction and reading all the responses that are coming on the chat is very interactive to interact with teachers from across the globe. I want you all to think and put in the chat what change would you bring to the schooling system if there were no restrictions with respect to the finances, resources, policies, adherence to specific curriculum, anything. What kind of change you would propose to bring in the schooling system if there were no restrictions at all? What kind of change would you bring to the schooling system if there were no restrictions at all? Uniform syllabus? I'm assuming it takes time to think through. It's unlearning a difficult question which we would have never thought because our conditioning has been in a way that this is the set norm that we need to follow. Curriculum, timing, child friendly curriculum, minimize the fee, textbooks, make classroom fully digital, speak for the pension benefit for the teachers, maximize use of practicals, differentiated learning as per the child's need, smart classes for all, more outdoor activities connected to the topic, education without boundaries, self-directed curriculum, study material should be changed, curriculum, rules that bounds teachers not to scold, more practice handouts, a lot of responses on curriculum. So I could clearly see that curriculum is the biggest thing, biggest challenge that most of the teachers would want to change in the schooling. Fees minimal would help all the students and take admissions and get education, right to education. More activity oriented curriculum so that the concept is delivered properly in a playway method. Teachers involvement, teachers involvement in admin work and a lot of repetition. Teachers spend, as per one of the research, teachers spend 80% of their time in doing the admin and paperwork things in the classrooms. Syllabus will not be fixed so that we can make the concept clear. Activity based learning will be offered. Exam and grading system will be student friendly. Increase teachers' economic capacity. Very important. How how more can benefit the teachers with their financial stability. It's one of the core reasons for teachers' attrition also. Engaging classes as well as being both for teachers and students. Motivating teachers, appreciating teachers. Wow, this is so sweet of you to write. Just appreciation. At times, that is so much neglected that teachers they just don't get appreciated for the efforts that they are putting in. Teachers' participation in decision making, lower the burden of providing some of the resources to the teachers, more handouts, study material, making teachers' life easy. I think a lot of focus is all on teacher driven teaching, where teacher is expected to create the teaching manuals, lesson plans, make some creatives for making the classrooms engaging, which spends a lot of time and effort. If you're not mentally satisfied, not taking good salary, how can somebody accept the profession? Liberty to teachers for completing her syllabus, minimize pressure on teacher for result, instead focus on quality changes. Laboratory work should start from junior classes, majorly upper primary. That's a good thought. A kind of disconnect in the curriculum transition, which at times affects a lot of learning outcomes since that's the first time that students get introduced to lab. Education with all with minimum fee structure, placement after education, making students employable, remove books in primary, availability of resources, teachers learning, enhance writing skill. I think what could have been a more better reason for UNESCO and other international bodies to consider this year's World Teachers Day theme as Voice of the Teacher. Just reading through your comments, which are still coming in, your voice is so strong and relevant. Look at the ideas that you're all coming up with. I just hope that we would have somebody as a policy reformer to sit here in the session and see the kind of very practical, doable, and impactful ideas which just now so many teachers have shared here. This is why the entire world needs to sit and listen to your voices so that we can move towards the new social contract that UNESCO is eyeing for. Can we move to the next slide? Importance of listening to teachers' voice. Now, improving on the students' achievement, addressing challenges, building trust. Challenges, teachers may feel disheartened and powerless at times, and teachers do have a lot of things going on, and each human being has a lot of things which goes on in a personal and a professional front. But teacher's voice remains an underutilized resource. uh, there were some surveys done with only 59% of the survey teachers were feeling confident enough to express their opinions and concerns openly. This is a British educational research agency which emphasizes the need for critically engaged teachers who can constructively develop the curriculum, leading to better student outcomes. A lot of you have responded, developing curriculum by teachers. And as per the research, at times when teachers proactively give their suggestions to the management, uh, it's not an honest opinion because of the fear. Teaching in an era of constant reform and at times political criticism is difficult. There is an increasing reliance on evidence, data, scientific measurement, which has led to a lot of scrutiny on the schools. So, a lot of you have written giving time to teachers, admin work. It's all because everything that has connected to the quality of teaching has unfortunately been taken only on grounds of numeric data. And because there is all the reforms which are based on the quantifiable things, there is a lot of scrutiny happening on the schools these days. Under such work pressure, teaching must be flawless to minimize any risk on investment. That's the expectation, that because there is so much of scrutiny on all of us, teaching has to be flawless. There is a return of investment expected. There is a parent expectation. There are government bodies' expectations, school management's expectation. However, teachers are not just technocrats, and they're perceived as a secured link between practice and the outcome. It does not foster on a positive view of teaching as a profession. Teachers' voices are often missing in policy making, advisory boards, media discussions. I do not see a lot of teachers being heard or brought on the platforms when there are discussions going around reforming small things in the educational forums. The media frequently portrays polarized views of teaching profession. I mean, there are so-called experts which are speaking on behalf of teachers. They might have been teachers at a different time altogether, but today when they represent in any forum, they actually represent the entire teacher fraternity. They sit there and talk on behalf of teachers, which at times is not correct. The valuable experience and expertise of teachers are rarely sought or valued. Despite this, the relentless demand for data, evidence, quantitative measures often overshadows the human aspect of those people working in the school. I think the most important part of a student's life is the human aspect of teachers. In today's world of AI, where there are so many speculations, discussions going around of what AI is going to replace, how many things the AI can replace, and AI is going to replace this job, that job, this role is going to become redundant. There were discussions around AI replacing teacher, and very humbly, all this entire scientific world agreed that school is more than just technology. AI can never replace a teacher. That human touch of teacher is the first social interaction that the child starts beyond school. After the home, in the pre-primary or the kindergarten, it's the first social interaction that the child gets involved into, which has the most lasting impact. A lot of you have read that the first 5 years of character building is a journey of the next 25 years the child is going to take. And that's the importance of the pre-primary years, the kindergarten years that the child spends with the teachers. The temperament, the well-being, the social touch that teacher introduces them creates a long-lasting impact on the well-being of students. Now let us look at why is it important to listen to teacher's voice. Can we move to the next slide? Oh, sorry, I'm just a bit slide ahead. So sorry, the previous slide only. Thanks. Most importantly, for improving student achievement. How is teacher's voice important for improving students' achievement. We've discussed that teachers are on the front lines of education and they have direct insights into what works and what does not work in the classroom. If you ask any teacher about anything that needs to be introduced in the classroom, they will very confidently know that this is going to work or this is not going to work. And it's not just a response in air, it is coming out of their number of years of experience dealing with so many different kinds of students at the same time in the classroom. Their feedback can lead to better teaching strategies and improved student outcome. Building trust and morale. When teachers feel heard and valued, it boosts their morale and fosters a positive school culture. This sense of trust and respect can lead to greater job satisfaction and retention of teachers. Informed decision making. Teachers' experiences and expertise provide valuable data that can inform school policies and practices. There are certain policies which are government policies which the schools have to follow, but at a school level, each school have their own policies. There are rules, there are other things, examination policies, protocols. When teachers are heard and valued, their inputs are taken, or teachers committee is involved into making all these informed decisions. It actually helps schools in taking better approach towards school policies and practices. And this also ensures that the decisions are grounded in the realities of the classroom, because whatever teachers bring in to the forum is based on all of their experience of working with students. Addressing challenges, teachers often face a very unique set of challenge. I think every new batch of students throws a new set of challenges to the teachers, and that's where teachers keep learning. Platforms like Center empowers teachers to continue their learning. By listening to their voices, schools can actually identify and address these issues more effectively, leading to a more supportive work environment. And lastly, but very importantly, fostering innovation. Teachers can really offer creative solutions and innovative ideas in curriculum development. There are so many teachers that I have worked with, and I'm sure a lot of you are present here on the call. You would have seen so many different curriculums in your teaching profession that each one of you is equivalent to an author for writing a subject specific book. You can design your own curriculum and instructional methods. So, out of experimenting with curriculum so much for so many years, you are the best people to bring that innovation and creativity in designing the curriculum and instructions. What works well for the students and their learning outcomes. Can we move to the next slide now? Great. So, how can we prepare ourselves to be heard? That was the first question that we started with. We know that it is very important. All of us have acknowledged that it is very important to be heard, and teachers' voices have a very strong impact. But how can we make ourselves heard? Ramya in the beginning mentioned that invest in your own learning. There are different things available for you to invest in your own learning, which makes you relevant, and knowledge shows when you're talking. So first is the homework to prepare yourself. Understand the stakeholders' perspective. Now, stakeholders here can be referred to your peers, the school management, parents, students, anyone. Understand that perspective. And this understanding of the perspective will come from actively listening to them. There is a community that gets involved in teaching. I think there is a proverb that says that to educate a child, a village is involved. So, understanding their priorities and perspectives will give you an insight into what exactly we are trying to solve for. Second is the effective communication. Clear and concise messaging. Communicate your ideas clearly and concisely. Avoid any jargons and always try to tailor your message based on your audience. At times, and it might be my biasness, so sometimes people use so many technical things to explain simple things to parents, or for that matter, okay, let's take an example for parents only, that parents do not know all those jargons. What are you talking about? For them the words are very simple. They're just focusing on their student. What is right with my child? what is wrong with my child, what can I do as a parent to make him better if he's lacking somewhere. That's all. Make it very simple for your audience to understand what you're trying to say. Use multiple channels. Utilize various communication channels such as emails, meetings, newsletters, social medias to reach out to different stakeholders effectively. Build relationship. And I think one of the most important aspect of building relationship is regular interaction. Maintain regular interaction with your stakeholders, again through meetings. One important interaction platform is parent-teacher conferences or parent-teacher meeting and community events. Build strong, relationships, which helps in fostering collaborative environment. A very important aspect of making yourself heard is empathy and respect. Show empathy and respect all the interactions. Some things can be right at certain points and wrong at the same time. Don't judge them. Acknowledge the contributions and concerns of others to create a positive dialogue. Teachers of one school as a community should be so strong that there can be disconnects, but respect will always be there. Most importantly, professional development. Trainings and workshops. Participate in trainings and workshops focused on your communication skills, stakeholder engagement, leadership. It actually enhances the capability of articulating your ideas and advocating for your needs. At times, you might be doing a lot of self-talk where you know how you have to talk to your management, but when it comes to actually talking, you just lose hold of that communication entirely. Peer collaboration. Teachers within the school is a very strong community. Collaborate with your colleagues to share best practices and strategies for effective communication. What works for you when you share with others, knowledge just grows when it is shared. Join committees and boards. Whenever you get an opportunity, get involved into school committees, boards, professional organization. This provides a platform to voice your opinions, influence decision-making process. Lead initiatives. Take the initiatives on projects that align with your expertise and interest. It might be that you're not getting chance within the school or in the timetable that is being provided, but wherever you get a chance, please take initiative in utilizing your expertise and interest. Feedback and reflection. Always seek feedback. Be open to feedback. Across the globe, feedback is always for your development. At first, it might sound sometimes not good, but trust me, when you re reflect on it, you will identify that whatever somebody gave you as a feedback was for you to become better of what you are currently. Document your achievements. Keep making records of your achievements, the progress of the students, how successful initiatives have led to better student in progress. This evidence can support your arguments and demonstrate your impact. And this will also help you in becoming data driven arguments. Use data and evidence to back up. If you have done certain things in your classrooms, you can use those case studies to aid to what kind of argument you're making for any reform. This just adds credibility to your voice and helps in making a compelling case. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, just wanted to end with a last survey. Again, in the chat box, you can write, was teaching your first choice as a profession? Was teaching your first choice as a profession? Yes, 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 now. Thanks for that open answer. Yes, a lot of yes. No, thanks for showing that courage to have a fair response. Teaching was not the first choice as a profession. I know the world is divided between teachers who wanted to be teachers as the first profession, and teachers who did not want to be teachers as the first profession, but now they are passionate teachers. Trust me by saying that teaching was not my first profession is not a judgmental statement. It's completely fair. There are engineers who have completed their engineering from IITs and they have found a passion in education, and that's absolutely fine. It happens with everyone as humans. So, teachers, on this occasion of the World's Teacher Day, I know we have taken a long way in terms of our own learning. We must continue to equip ourselves with the best available professional development, read the best books to keep updated, upgrade ourselves technologically, and be confident of our choices. I wish all of us teachers the strength to find our voice, the voice that can not only determine the path on which our students walk, but also the course of education in our country and the world will take to ensure a better tomorrow. Thank you once again, and a very happy Teachers' Day to all of us. Continue striving for better. Challenge yourself. Thank you so much, teachers, once again for such an active participation in the chat boxes. I'm still going through the responses that I've received to the previous poll. Over to you, Rachel.
Thank you so much, Swarnama. And I'd like to say that you have beautifully articulated the voice of the teacher and the issues that they have faced. And I definitely feel like teachers do feel heard and addressed, at least in some form, through this webinar today, because you have managed to point out all issues or at least try to validate those issues in today's webinar. And I do have a few questions that the audience have asked. And one of the question is by Nanuri Sunita, and she asks, what is the role of teachers in future education system?
That's a great question because the future of education starts from today. And if we look at the current scenario, if you look at the educational practices which we are following in the school currently, it is going to change in few years. There will be certain changes coming in the few years again. So for the present, teachers' responsibility is to understand, reflect, and check the kind of working which happens with the technology. I see a lot of responses were coming when we were discussing on what changes will you bring in the schooling, and a lot of teachers wanted to bring technology in teaching. Check your own technological know-how. If it is not currently up to the mark, invest in the technological learning. Challenge yourself that I can learn this thing because going in future, technology will be a key driving principle for better learning. If you look at how things have moved in last 20 years or 30 years from our schooling to the current schooling, there is a continuous involvement of technology. The future is going to be there with technology, and trust me, technology just empowers teachers. It is never going to replace the teacher. So just embrace yourself for a technology driven teaching for future.
Thank you so much, Swarnama, for answering the question. And now I have another question by Sabita Singh, who asks, how can school leadership ensure that teachers feel empowered to contribute to decision making?
Great. I think you have asked this question, but a lot of teachers will resonate with the same thing, that what can you
Yes.
do where you feel that, management is taking your say in their entire decision making. First, the empowerment starts from showing. That's where teachers' voice is important. At times, teachers are really very confident, very innovative. Critical thinking is super, but we do not find the courage to speak up at the right time, and that's like an opportunity miss. Management might be discussing about one topic in front of so many other teachers, and just because as a teacher I might not have that much of experience, I might not have a designation which somebody else has in the school, I'm resisting to discuss my thoughts. Always speak up. Put aside your thoughts in a very subtle, polite, clear, concise way to say that this is something which you also feel will work. Can I get a chance to experiment this with a smaller batch of students? Can I do a pilot with specific number of students? Take those small initiatives, give 100% of yourself to those initiatives to make them successful. There will be lessons learned or success stories, but speak up for yourself. You need to tell that this is what I feel about it and I want to solve this problem by taking this initiative. Once you show that confidence, management will show that confidence in your decisions.
Thank you, Swarnama, again. And I have one last question by Benazi Sheikh, and she asks, students today face higher stress levels, and most often teachers are not equipped to deal with mental health concerns. So how can teachers be supported in this context?
uh, Resilience these days and mental well-being is a very critical aspect of teaching. I think students are over pressurized these days because one, I always say this to all the parents that I meet, that students are not competitive. It's parents who are very competitive, and it's their competitiveness that puts a lot of pressure on students. So parents' own aspirations about their careers or what they have not been able to achieve in their life, they put across all those things on students. Now, as teachers, what best that we could do to make their lives stress-free is to focus on mental well-being of students. Whenever students make mistakes, and that's quite often and normal for all the students to do so, do not judge them for their mistakes. Do not pick students in the classrooms when somebody is doing something wrong or something has been written wrong. Just give them a one-on-one feedback, sometimes a peer correction. Teacher should be the last one to correct a student when all the other things have not worked out. It actually reduces a lot of intimidation from the student that he's under constant observation and monitoring. Trust me, they're under a lot of pressure from parents these days because, as the term said, Google parents, there are very high expectations from their children. And a lot of time, very small things can be stressful for students because they're always confused between their aspirations and parents' aspirations. So, as teachers, you need to balance that out. Show confidence in them. Always love your students for what they are doing. Be critical of their work, since as teachers we are there to see the progress they are making, but with that also be sensitive towards their age group and what kind of feedback mechanism will work with what age group. Not every time clearly saying that this is right and this is wrong will work. Ask them more questions. For example, if Rachel is my student and I have to ask her something that she has done terribly wrong, Rachel, given a chance, how would you do that next time? What would be your approach if you have to do this second time again? Let there be more self reflection rather than telling what is right and what is wrong, at least in the school. Students will start having better work life, more mental peace.
Thank you so much, Swarnama, and thank you for answering each and every question with such detail and thought. And now I'd like to even thank you for providing such an engaging and informative session on our platform and for our community of teachers. I'm sure that our teachers have got a lot of takeaways from this session. Thank you so much again, Swarnama, for joining us here.
Thank you so much,
And now,
Rachel and Team Center, for giving this opportunity to interact with teachers on just before the World's
yeah.
Teacher Day. A lot of discussions still going on in the chats, and I'm really enjoying those. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much for coming. And now, for everyone, this feedback form has been shared in the chat box, and the code has been also shared. The code for today's session will be shared in the banner as well as in the chat. And now we'll move on to our new feedback steps. So if you have registered and filled out the feedback form for this session, check your record of participation in the app in the My Learning section. Now I will guide you through the instructions that we have. Step 1, open the Center app on your device. Step 2, navigate to the ongoing webinar section. Step 3, check on submit feedback. Please note that this option will be available at 6 p.m. IST. Now, step 4, during the end of the session, we will share a 4-digit code required for feedback, as you can see in the banner below. Enter the code to access the feedback form. Step 5, complete the feedback form and you'll be able to download your record of participation instantly. This new process was introduced to streamline your experience and ensure that your participation is instantly recognized. Thank you so much, all of y'all, for joining in for this engaging session and engaging with us today. To register for more such upcoming webinars, please visit the Center app. Good evening, everyone. Have a good day.